So hey, Tom Llewellyn and the blog on the 2024 election. This week I said I'd talk about socialism and how it treats ideas, maybe why that's important. And I told you also that we do it every other week. I think we're going to do it every week. There's a lot of stuff. There's a lot of fun stuff that you might want to know about and think is useful. So here's the deal, socialism. Let's talk about ideas first. I think we just think ideas are ideas sometimes. Hey, what it is, I said ideas are the catalyst of greatness in everything we do, from economics to culture to whatever, science. And at the end of the day, they are, right? Without them, we'd still be living in a cave somewhere in Africa, right? Ideas are this constant stream of change and hopefully evolution of ideas that improves our lives. So today, where are we? It's like, I think there's four kinds of ideas. There are dead ideas. We all have dead ideas, I'm going to get up at 8 in the morning and then at 9 o'clock you're still pushing the snooze bar. Or more important, economic ideas. I have an idea for a business. I've had it for a couple of years. I haven't written a business plan. That idea is DOA, right? It's not going anywhere. And maybe it will. Maybe I'll transfer it or transition it to something by writing it down, right? And trying to go do something with it, using my own personal capital, right? My hard work, not money necessarily. So lots of dead ideas. I mean, we all have them every day, and we don't go anywhere with them, right? And then Clayton Chamberlain out of Harvard had an interesting idea, and he called two kinds of ideas, sustaining and disruptive. A sustaining idea, my favorite is electronic door locks. I mean, when I was a kid, no car had them, right? Or if they did, they were more expensive than my family could ever afford. But, electronic door locks are just, it's what everything has, right? It made the product a little better, right? I want to buy that product because that one doesn't have it, right? And then there's disruptive. So, that first disruptive idea was fire, probably, right? Without fire, the whole world changed because of it, right? But we have things like the cotton gin or the automobile or computers or the iPhone that literally changed how we operate, created new markets that just didn't exist before. And those are really important. The nation that has the most sustaining and disruptive ideas is a nation that wins economically. We've been doing pretty good at that, but at the end of the day, China's catching up. Maybe simply because the mass of people they have is 4 times as great as ours, so it helps them. But at the end of the day, the nation that wins that does win the economic lottery, right? The fourth kind is the kind government does. And you can relate government to kind of being this socialist endeavor, and I'll only say that because government owns the means to production to everything it does, right? It owns the military, right? It owns the FBI, it owns all these things. It owns the means to production of these things. Well, and this has been going on for hundreds, if not thousands of years. But let's just go back to feudal times where kings and queens and popes, and I would say the divine right of kings and infallible popes and queens too, right? Had an idea, and that was it, right? I'm right. The rest of you are wrong. We're doing it this way. Nobody tested anything. Nobody, it was just the way things were done. Well, it's 2023 and we're still doing things exactly that way. We have these ideas, we pack them in, we don't test them, we don't say, hey, let's see if this works first. We don't even track them as we go along and say, oh, okay, well, this is doing this and X, Y, and Z, and it meets some objective, hopefully it was part of the original plan. None of that is done, right? So we do something and we just, then we put a political party, puts power around it and say, well, we're not changing this thing. This belongs to us, right? And just to give an example, Social Security, again, kind of a socialist idea, right? The government owns this kind of retirement anti-poverty thing. But it started with something financially that was never going to work, an intergenerational tax. We've raised taxes 32 times over the last, 60, 70, 80 years. And at the end of the day, it's still financially insolvent, and doubling taxes on our income still won't fix it. We're $100 trillion upside down, but nobody wants to give up on that initial premise. It's crazy, right? It's crazy. Well, that's how socialism works. It works in a little different way than kings and queens and popes with infallibility, but now we have experts, right? My expert says, and it's like, well, we don't need to test this. We don't need to do anything. We're not going to track it. You know, we really don't want to do that. And what happens? That idea gets locked. It can't progress. It can't evolve. It can't create new ideas. It's dead on arrival because like Ronald Reagan said, you know, the best example of immortality is a federal program, right? It just doesn't change. Our school system is a one-size-fits-all socialist idea, right? Which is fine, but it hasn't gotten better in 60 years. The number of students that get educated to proficiency hasn't changed despite large increases in spending. So the problem with socialism is it kills ideas because it cements the ones it originates, right? It says, well, we're not changing this anymore. We're just going to hold on to it. Well, that doesn't work. That's not the way the world is, right? I mean, even in our personal lives, you know, if we locked onto an idea that fundamentally didn't work, we'd be in some trouble. Like, I can spend more than I earn permanently. Well, that idea is not going to work. In our personal lives, in our businesses, in our nonprofits, in our churches, you can't do those kind of things, right? When something doesn't work, we change. We get a new idea, right? The greatest thing about failure in everything but government is it generates new ideas. You think Einstein, when his first equations for gravity kind of worked, but he knew it didn't explain everything, just quit and said, oh, this is good enough? Well, no, he worked the rest of his life trying to figure out a problem called the grand unified theory. Well, that's what science is evolutionary too. Our businesses evolve and produce better products. Our families get better and find better jobs and better things and raise our kids in better ways. But the government and the socialist approach to, well, we're going to do it this way, we're never going to change it, is lunacy, right? So why doesn't socialism work with ideas? It's an idea killer. It just doesn't work, right? It traps you in the here and now, and that is not a good form of governance. Anyway, I'm Tom Llewellyn. I'll see you next week. We'll talk about capitalism and how it treats ideas, and I hope you'll find it interesting. Thanks.